Alright, welcome back to our Highfleet playthrough. Last time we were trying to bait out an enemy strike fleet and we managed to catch some fish, and now we're in the awkward situation of trying to track them down. But as we all know from last time, I've got the range wrong on my elant scanner, so things are a little bit tricky because they're actually further away than I think they are. Right now I believe them to be somewhere east of Tabal. We're detecting them with our Skylark, which is in between Tabal and Kakamish. We have our Rooster Strike Fleet fighter over in Aktag. It's just taking the town, it's just looting it. Meanwhile, the Ashkelon Strike Fleet is moving across to the desert. At the moment, intention is to land in the desert, provide long-range strategic support, and then some other stuff going on. We've got this to deal with here. There's actually some good loot here. We've got another deity wallet that's $4,000. I'm pretty happy to pick that up. We're running a little bit low on funds. So once that's dealt with, we can get them refueled and repaired, hopefully get them out of there before there's a problem. We did ping the enemy that we were in Karkamish, so I'm not sure if they're going to head for Karkamish or Aktag because we made a lot of noise, but we know they're up there. We also know we've got the other strike group over here, so we've got to get the fleet that's heading to Kua out of the way and get the Lone Badger repaired, and the Sevastopol is refueling as well, ready to move out. So once we get the Ashkelon fleet in the desert, we'll be able to do support. So let's just unpause the game and see what's going on. Just to reiterate what we went over yesterday, we're paying attention to the elant scanner at the top of the page, top of the screen, sorry. We've got contact on bearing 0 at maximum distance, probably somewhere around 1,500 kilometers away. Now, just as we got that rescue going through, our elant scanner has jumped to 2 contacts. We'll quickly deal with this. Probably want to get that Molot, to be honest. That's fine. And our elant scanner has jumped to 2. That means they are now closer. They're moving in this direction. So, this is scary because we still don't know exactly where they are. We just know they're coming directly from the north to the south. But there is an error margin here of sort of 15 degrees to maybe 345 degrees, like in between those two. So from 345, sorry, to 20 degrees, 15 degrees, they're somewhere in there. And then in terms of distance, if we're running off what I think, the intervals on the inner circle should represent about 150 kilometers. It's actually bigger than that because, again, this is a much bigger scanner, but from what we believe, they're somewhere in that circle there. So what I'm thinking about doing here is I want to move the Skylark laterally so that I can get a second bearing and try and triangulate the position. So I'm sending them northwesterly, just to move them over and see how that bearing shifts on my elant scanner so I can try and narrow down the location. So what I want to do is just make them travel over until the 0 degree indicator moves to 30 degrees. And now I know that they're somewhere further over. Now we've just jumped up to elant 3. Elant 3 means they're incredibly close. This is starting to scare me a lot. I'm worried they might be right on top of my Skylark. So again, we're just estimating roughly what position they're at. What position they're at. We know they're somewhere directly north of us, within plus or minus 15 degrees, plus or minus 150 kilometers of that where that dot is. Obviously, they're further away, but we don't know that. The looting just finished down in Aktag, so we'll just deal with that really quickly. I want to grab that fuel, but actually, think about it, that ammunition's going to explode first. Let's grab that and maybe catch the fuel if we can. And just keep tracking this situation. Let's just see what's going on here. The fleet has landed at Kua. Let's just deal with that really quickly. They need to refuel for sure. Maybe get enough fuel to get them up to the Shaibad fuel storage so they can do another big refueling. And I want to take Shaibad just for it as a supply station later. We still got that weird bug with our ships appearing incorrectly. I don't know what's going on there. But let's get the Lone Badger. Oh, we need to rename this because it's the Lone Badger, not the Lonely Badger. I made that mistake in the last episode. There we go. And we'll just get that repaired. Now, I make a slight mistake here because if you want to rename a ship, you actually have to repair it first. And let's just see what we've got for sale here as well. There's some interesting stuff. We've got R5 Zeniths, which are fine. We can sell some of the guns we picked up. I'm going to grab some Zeniths and equip them on this ship. But first of all, we need to repair it so that the struts that have been placed on the chassis to hold the missiles are available. Because we repaired it, we need to rename the project again. It's just a order of operations that you need to get right. And then we'll grab 2 Zeniths, put them on. They're one and done missiles, so once I fire them, I have to buy them again. So I'm just going to buy a couple more just to have them there for me to reload with without needing them in the shop. I've also, just having a look at the store here, there's some LA-29s, there's an A-100 radar homing tactical strike missiles. These are faster and longer range missiles than the KH-15s that we're currently using. They're 1,500 each, which is quite expensive. One thing that's not factored into missiles, I'll just sell some stuff to get some, because they're pretty good to have, is there's actually a cost to mount them on your ship as well, which is quite expensive. It's about 3,000 credits per missile. So when you're looking at the cost of them, factor in that there's a mounting cost and a mounting time as well. I'm going a little bit crazy. I'm buying all 6 of them. They're quite a rare missile, and seeing them this early, they're a nice upgrade from the KH-15s that we're currently using. And we'll just leave out here. Right, got the right name. The repairs are going on. Now, I didn't pay attention to how long that repair is going to take. It is going to take a bit of time. Just having a look at what's available here. Those are anti-aircraft missiles that our planes can fly. Sorry, planes can fire. We've got 130mm armor piercing. That's pretty good. I want to get some more of that. I used a lot of it recently, and it's a great ammo type. Just want to get that on 50. Sorry for being fiddling. I'm weirdly weird about full numbers. What else have we got here? Nothing too important. But yeah, we've got a 12.4-hour repair on the Rooster, on the Lone Badger there, which is unfortunate, but it's fine. They're not doing anything right now, and they should be far enough away from the strike fleet. Back to mapping out this strike fleet. My plan here is to narrow down their location and launch a decisive first strike against them. I paused again because we've just hit Elant 4. So Elant 4, as far as I'm aware, is they are just over 150 kilometers away from my ship. We know they're not. They're probably around 400 to 500 kilometers away from my ship, maybe 300 or 400 kilometers, but I'm worried, so I'm going to pull them straight back. Looking at the map here, it actually looks like they may be coming from Tabal straight down to Carchemish. I thought they were maybe going from Tabal to Ashkelon and that south easterly route that's there, but it actually looks like they're coming straight from the north to the south. So I'm a bit worried about this Skylark being run over by the strike fleet. I think they're right on top of it, judging by the Elant scanner. That's the only thing I've got to go on. And again, thinking they're much closer than they are due to the error, well, the bug in the game telling me my Elant range was 750 rather than 1,500. So we're just going to slide them out of the way and hope to get around them. I'm going to pay attention to the Elant as well and watch as it drops off. And I'm looking for, again, that bearing to change from 0 degrees to 30 degrees, which is just done as my range jumped from 4 to 2. Which would tell me that the ranges I'm dealing with are much closer than I think they am. It's very hard to track with just this, but I think they're somewhere around there. And I think that with these 2 bearings, I've now got enough information to launch an airstrike. The reason I'm launching an airstrike is planes can loiter in an area for a few seconds and maybe locate their target. So I'm sending out all of my T7s with 250 kilogram bomb loads, and I'm sending them out to the target. Now the T7 has a 4,000 kilometer operating range. 2,000 kilometers if you want them to come back, and they can carry, I think, 4 250 kilogram bombs, which is quite a lot. So I'm sending them off. We're getting the fuel. That's great. You'll see how fast they're moving across the map. And I make a big mistake here that I really want to make sure that you do not make. So please pay close attention to how I operate these planes. I'm just flying the Skylark over until they're on the edge. They're down to 1 Elant, so I'm going to land them again just so I can keep track of them. They're still in my scanning range. I know where they are. Now, we, as the viewers, know that this fleet is not in this location. And by the way, I'll be going back to live commentary for my next video. Don't worry, I know a lot of people prefer me doing that. But right now, we know where this fleet is. It's not where I think it is because the ranges are wrong. But I've just sent 4 very expensive planes on an attack run straight in. I'm also considering sending in missiles. I'm considering sending a rocket strike in. But I'm worried that without knowing exactly where they are, I don't want to do that yet. What I should have done here is sent 1 plane with no armament to fly around the area and just determine the exact location. Unfortunately, I haven't done that. I've sent out the attack fleet unguarded. So don't make that mistake. Scout the enemy once, twice, thrice. Triple check where they are. Yes, you're giving your location away a little bit more, but you can relocate after that. But it is imperative that you launch an attack on the correct location first. Just while we're waiting, we're going to land the Rooster, get its name fixed, get it repaired, and get it ready to go back into battle. It is a bit low on morale, unfortunately. It's got up to 4 morale, which is okay. Thankfully, it has the Royal Guard upgrade, so it can cycle through morale quite quickly. We'll see if anything happens. There's a few ships for sale here we'll have a quick look at. We are a bit low on cash. That's probably the worst landing so far in this Let's Playthrough, but whatever. We are just a little bit nervous with this strike fleet imminent. Take a breath. And we have an event, the Blessing. As you descend, the locals begin to crowd around you. There are so many of them that the guards have to form a protective cordon around you to keep the throng at bay. You are beginning to get used to this. There are cries of joy as the Aleems greet you. Blessed be he who cometh. Blessed be he who cometh. The people closest to you reach over the guard's shoulders, trying to touch your clothing. The Tanaim, the blessing bringer. That's what the locals seem to call you here. There is a prophecy weaving through this game that we haven't encountered yet, and these people are reacting to that prophecy. So we have to make a decision on what we're going to do. We let them come and touch us, or keep them away from the crowd. Now, because I had such a bad time with Issy earlier, I want to upgrade some of my worldview, so I'm actually going to let them through. You approach the line of troops separating you from the crowd and stand as close as you can so the locals can touch you. The people begin to jostle and push. It only takes them a moment to break the line. The human sea quickly sweeps over you. So that's gave me 2 faith for my worldview. I'm pushing towards my worldview of faith going up. But the officers barely manage to drive the crowd away from you and restore the line. The captain of the guard is livid. And he basically asks you not to do that again, and unfortunately lose 1 morale. But it's not 1 morale fleet-wide, it's 1 morale for this fleet, which is the Rooster, which has the Royal Guard upgrade, and I was happy to make that sacrifice. A couple of little ships here. We've got an Intrepid, we've got a Longbow, we've got a, what's this, a Fat Man, which looks to me like a blank slate ship. It might be a good pickup once everything's died down, as a sort of a basic chassis that we can use to build off and have a bit of a brawler, because the Lightnings are not going to cut it against strike fleets. The strike fleets in general use proximity fuse ammo, and they use 180 prox fuse, and just 1 hit from that can total your Lightning. So get a bit more money. We're up to 16,000 cash again, which is good because I was running a bit low on money. Let's see what we've got here. 180 prox fuse. I want to buy that when I see it because it's one of the best ways for your bigger ships to defend themselves against missile strikes. 100 kilogram bombs. We're going to be using them a lot, so let's just top it up on those. We've got tons of cash. Incendiary 57, AP 100. Now we're good on everything else. Don't need a proximity fuse 100. So let's go back to the map, and we'll just get back to this airstrike that's about to tick off. Whew, there's a lot going on, as always in this game, especially with the way I play it. So the planes are just passing over Carchemish. They're coming in north. We've still got 1 contact alert on the Elent scanner for the Skylark. You can tell I've got it selected because it has the white circle around it. So I'm using it to watch where I think they are. From my scanning, they haven't really moved from where I think they are. So I think that this attack path should be bang on them. Now, these planes have a range of 2,000, operating range of 2,000 kilometers. When they hit 2,000 fuel, they need to turn around and come back. But I make a mistake here because I expect to find the fleet here, and I don't. So I start clicking around to move the fleet. I'm like, oh, where are they? I'm just checking my bearing, making sure that I've got 30 degrees right. Like, I want to make sure that I've got this right. So I'm using the ruler tool to measure out 30 degrees. I'm coming up, roughly about how far they'll be. So I'm like, well, maybe they're a little bit further north. And that's fine. I can still do that. But if you watch really closely while I'm clicking around with the fleet, there's a moment where they try to path back to the fleet below. You'll watch them. Just keep an eye on the path that they're going towards as I click around. So I let them float here. They still don't find anything. I don't want to get them too close to the bow, just in case they bump into the garrison. No sign of anything. And around about now, they'll try and path back south. I'm just checking again. Yeah, I'm definitely picking up. This is where I'm starting to realize something's not right with my Elent. It's not picking them up in the right location. Any second now, I may have already missed it. They will try and path back southwards. I've maybe missed it. But when they do that, yeah, I've already missed it. Because I'm now thinking, hang on a second. They've got a range of 1,500 kilometers. How far away are they from home? And it's about 2,000. I realize that they don't have enough fuel to get back to the fleet. And I'm just feeling I'm such an idiot right now. Because if they don't make it back, they're going to run out of fuel. Then I make my second mistake. Because if I pause the game right now and I actually try to do it, but I mess it up. If I try to order one of my faster carriers northwards to intercept them, if I get the Wasp, which is a top speed of 400 kilometers, if I was just to send it northwards and get them to intercept it, they would probably land in time. But I misclick and don't send it out, and then kind of in my panic forget about it, and it doesn't leave the fleet. And I also don't even tell the fleet to fly further north. And I just leave the fleet on its normal. I could have made sorry, I just banged my desk. I could have made up the distance and saved these planes. Spoiler, all 4 of these planes are about to be destroyed by lack of fuel. And I'm kind of incredulous at the moment. I can't believe I've made this mistake, especially in this playthrough. I'm feeling like such an idiot that I've made this mistake. It's a huge mistake to make. 4 of these planes are very expensive and they're hard to find. These are my supersonic fighter bombers. They're very powerful ships, and you just watch that fuel tick away. We're down to 123 kilometers of range. And if I check the distance, which I'm about to do, we're looking at 300 odd kilometers between them and the fleet. So I could have saved them by sending a ship further north, but I didn't, and now they crash into the desert and are destroyed. And at this point, I'm speechless. It's a good job my recording kind of got lost because I didn't know what to say. But I actually think this is a great object lesson in being careful, in taking your time, in thinking about what you're doing. I could have saved those planes 3 times. I could have saved them by sending them back at the appropriate time, by sending one ship further north to intercept them, or sending the whole fleet further north to intercept them, and I didn't do any of it. So forgive me if I'm slightly tilted for the rest of this video. I promise I'll be back to my usual calm, collected, knows what he's doing self, but right now I'm a little bit tilted. I'm a little bit frustrated with myself for making that mistake. And look, we all make mistakes. That's why we play games like this. So I'm just checking my stock. I only have, just in case they snuck back or something, but no, I've only got my 10 turboprop fighters, my subsonics, my sub-supersonics, I should say. Meanwhile, the Sevastopol is still refueling. We've got 8 hours left with the Kuar repair. That's fine. Maybe need to jump them out of there before the repair's finished. I'm not sure. The Rooster is on just under an hour left to repair. It's already jumped up to morale 4. That's that Royal Guard upgrade. Great upgrade. Highly recommend it. And in my kind of despair, I delete all of my tracking from earlier because I realize that all of it is wrong. Something is not right. And then the good news is, because I've made this mistake, I start thinking about what's going on here. And I wonder if I'm maybe misreading my Elant scanner. I'm wondering if maybe they're a little bit further north than I think they are. But I start to wonder about how I could maybe just test where they are and check where they are. And I realize there's a really easy way to do that. What I should have done last time is to send out a scout. I'm just still, this is just me puzzling out why did I not find that strike fleet? Where is it? And I realize they're not where I think they are. So I select my fleet, come down here, just grab a plane. If you just load your plane with a 37mm cannon, it will not attack anything. And I'm just checking my max range, and I'm just actually making sure that they will come back. This is me discussing the fuel limitations of your planes and to be careful about it. I know all this, I'm just second guessing myself. As long as I send them out within that circle, they will make it back fine. Because they've got an operating range of 4,000 kilometers, both planes do, but they have a return, so an attack and return distance of 2,000 kilometers. So as long as this fleet is within 2,000 kilometers of its target, which it is, you might have missed it, but I checked it and it is, this plane will make it back, no problem, as long as it doesn't loiter for too long. And planes don't want to loiter for too long anyway because they get shot down. So again, we're just checking with the Skylark. We are still picking up a reading at 30 degrees. I'm like, is that reading at 30 degrees into bow? And that's when I decided that it must be. Just checking over here, we're still repairing, we've got low morale. Just feeling a little bit sorry for myself by making that big mistake. I'm feeling very humiliated by doing it in front of everyone watching. We now have a dangerous tag in Goshen, so we've been hanging around for too long. So I just tell the Sevastopol to jump over to that fuel depot, and we're going to have to take that fuel depot before they arrive, but that's fine. In fact, we've already taken it. It's all good. It's going to take 28 hours, I believe, or 18 hours to fly over there. We might have to change that. What I want to do my next video is find a hidden city. But in the meantime, we have our first fighter coming into Tabal. I'm basically going to send the fighter in to scout Tabal and see what is there. Please do this. Obviously, be aware that doing it, if you're not, an alarm isn't raised, this is going to raise an alarm. But it's a very cheap way to scout a town at long distance without needing to sacrifice a ship or put a ship into danger. Now, the Skylark and Lightning are actually fast enough that I could dip into Tabal, check what's there, and get out again before they can take any damage. But that puts them into trouble with with planes coming in at them and strike missiles. And this way, I don't need to worry as much. It's just a plane going in. So, boom. We've hit visual distance on Tabal. We can now find Granite is landed in Tabal, and there's a garrison in Tabal as well. And that's what I should have known this whole time. So as soon as I find them there, I'm like, great, just fire everything. I need revenge, because as far as I'm concerned, they have killed my fighters. I didn't do it. It wasn't my mistake. They killed them. So I'm sending out my planes in groups of 2 with 250 kilogram bombs. You do them in groups of 2, because if you send all 4 of them, or like a big group of them in on a target, they cluster in together too tightly, and anti-air missiles can take a big group of them out, and they'll all attack the same target. At the same time, I am launching my 2 KH-15s on the base as well. The KH-15s will fly to the point I targeted them at and then activated their radar. I should have maybe clicked a little bit in front of the town before I activated them, but they're going to hit something when they hit the town. Next thing I need to do is order this plane back before it runs out of fuel so they can land and it can arm itself for another attack run. And we have just launched in that very rush, like click, 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 and I'll go over it in more detail when I'm commenting live, but we've just launched what I'm hoping is the decapitation strike against the strike fleet. Now, I've instantly picked up a new Elant contact closer, and what's happening is because I've buzzed the garrison with this scout fighter, the strike fleet in Tabal has taken off and is attempting to pursue, but they are slow, so it's going to take them some time. But this is why my Elant's gone up. And actually what I've done is I've made a mistake by launching these missiles bang on the town instead of before the town, they're probably going to overshoot the strike fleet. And when they do that, hit the garrison instead of them. I'm going to reload the missiles on my Yars. You'll notice on the right, it's going to take an hour to do and cost 1,500 credits per missile. But I've put a KH-15, which is the radar tracking missile, and a KH-15P on as well, which is the emissions tracking radar. I will talk about what the difference between them is when it's time. I also thought I had some spare planes, but I didn't buy any, so I'm going to have to buy some planes to replace the ones I've lost, but that's fine. Just checking everything else is ticking over okay, so I don't fixate too strongly on this attack. Just checking how things are going in Kua. I want to see if there's any planes for sale here. There are LA-29s for sale, but no T-7s, which is the supersonic planes that I want to find. Going back to the attack run, we're about to see our first missile strikes of the campaign. We're about to see our first plane strikes of the campaign. I will go over missile striking in more detail when I'm not quite so tilted by making a huge mistake, so I do apologize for that. But you guys get to see what they look like in combat. But if you notice, just to reiterate, the missiles are targeted onto Bao. I should have targeted them around about where the star is, because what happens is when they reach their destination, they don't explode instantly. They activate their sensors and look for a target. By targeting to Bao, they will fly over any valid targets before they hit it, and you'll see that in a couple of seconds. The strike fleet is currently heading southeast. They're chasing that plane that overflew them. They've left to Bao. I've realized this when I'm playing as well. You'll see it in a second. The missile's coming in. The missile's going to activate its radar. That's the radar activated on the missile. It will find a target in a second. It's found a target locked on. But look, there's the strike fleet on the right. They've overshot the strike fleet because I aimed them at the wrong location. I fixed this mistake in a second. But just mechanics of missiles, you've got to bear in mind the speed and bearing of the target you are firing at. If you don't take that into account, you'll end up in a situation that I'm in where everything overshoots. Luckily, planes have pilots and they can orientate themselves. The reason we've spotted this fleet is because the planes are detecting it. Now, the good news is there is something to hit at Tabal, so the missiles aren't totally wasted. Here's our first missile strike of the campaign. There's a heavy corvette there. It's gone. Cruise missiles are scary. That was a waste of a cruise missile, but at least it wasn't a complete waste. It hit something. Got to order my fighters to make sure they attack the strike fleets. They're intercepting now. We've got a bombing run coming in. I've got 3 fighters coming in. I might have clicked too many because there's an R9 Sprint. That's an anti-air missile. It takes out 2 planes. That's why you want to do small groups of planes, because that R9 Sprint could have taken out 5-6 planes if they came in bunched up. As it is, losing 2 planes on one bombing run is a little bit of a hard price to bear. We've lost a lot on this attack. If we manage to take the strike fleet out, it'll still be worth it. But if we don't, we've wasted a lot of resources on not much. Here's our second bombing run. Luckily, I believe we destroyed the rest of the anti-air missiles on the top of that strike cruiser. By the way, these ships are massive. They're way bigger than the Lightning. So we don't have to worry about any more anti-aircraft fire from anti-air missiles. We might also have destroyed the fire control radar on top, which without the fire control radar, they can't launch the missiles. That's a limitation of the anti-air missiles. We'll go into those in more detail as well when I need to use them or add them onto a ship. Because I didn't do enough damage here, I'm actually going to send out another bombing run. I'm going to send them in with 100 kilogram bombs rather than the 250s. Actually, no, I send them in with the 250s. I do realize the 250s are what I need to send them in with. So we'll probably launch them to about here because we don't want to miss the strike fleet. We'll send these guys in just a little bit further over as well, make sure they hit. Those guys will head back as soon as they've done their bombing run. Here's our second missile strike of the campaign. And they managed to shoot it down with anti-aircraft fire. So 57mm and 37mm fire is very good at shooting down incoming cruise missiles. Prox fuse ammo can shoot them down as well. That's why you kind of want to saturate targets. You want to try and find the balance between overkill, which is a little bit what I'm heading towards here, but also enough saturation that your shots get through. Now, in ACTAG right now, we're looking at 20 minutes until the Yars is ready to fire again. I realize that I might not be able to kill the strike fleet in time, so I get ready by refueling to move them out of ACTAG. They are just a little bit faster, but not by much. We know that Granite moves at 122 kilometers per hour. We have lost the Elint on our Skylark now, but that's also because I'm moving it down to Carchemish to refuel as well. I'm getting ready for the next stage of this attack. The fighter wing is moving in. I've reloaded my KH-15 and I'm ready to launch it once I have a target. I need to set a destination. So the KH-15P is the emissions one, KH-15 is the radar one. So I'm going to wait until the planes have detected the strike fleet, or am I just going to fire beforehand? They should be coming into visual range of the strike fleet very soon. There they are. So I know where they are, so I can launch a missile in front of them, and it's important to launch it to make sure the missile starts its attack run in front of the fleet so that it has time for the missiles to lock on. That's very, very important. So do it about there to make sure there's adequate time for the radar to activate and lock on. I don't want them to overshoot. And so there's quite a lot of technicality in actually hitting with missiles. I also decide to launch a KH-15P here, which is the emissions radar, and we'll explain the difference. We'll explain how that works as well when it comes in. Launch this one a little bit further forward, but it has a 360-degree radius on its scanning rather than the KH-15, which only has a 90-degree cone. So you can be a little bit. These are a little bit more forgiving, but they will only hit targets emitting radar, whereas the KH-15 will just hit anything big. Go in to reload the yards as well, just get new missiles on it. I'll throw them a little bit soon, and you'll notice that it still has a missile in one of the tubes. So we'll just unpause the game, let that missile fire. You'll hear it in a second, checking that it has indeed fired. That's the second missile away. And we'll go back in and we'll just quickly get it reloaded. And it's important that you get this moving fast because it takes an hour to reload each missile. So another KH-15P, another KH-15. Remember, these are about 1,000 odd each. So that's how much we're spending on each attack. So it's enough. 4 guns will probably cost about one of these. Now, my fighters haven't attacked the strike fleet, which is a bit frustrating, so I just have to order them to intercept. But you have to get the click right, which I failed to do my first pass through. We'll just try that again, because I think they missed the intercept again. Yeah. So fighters can be a little bit frustrating. They don't always quite get the attack in. You'll know you've got it right when you actually get an intercept line showing, which is what we get here. Apologies if you can hear some noises in the background. My cat is throwing a toy around just outside the room. And here we come in with our next bombing run. So each of these fighters can carry one 250-kilogram bomb. Here's the next strike. And it decapitates the bridge on the strike cruiser. So that's a huge target taken out by a couple of bombing runs. We've lost 2 planes, technically lost 6 planes and expired 2 cruise missiles already taking the strike fleet out, which is a lot on this strike fleet, but it means we don't have to fight it in close combat, which I can't do right now. Here comes the next attack run on the remaining strike cruiser. And these are cruisers. These are huge ships. It's hard to explain to you just how big these ships are in comparison to what we dealt with before. Big hits don't destroy anything vital, however. It's on fire, but it's still alive. So the next thing that's going to hit is the strategic missiles are going to fly in. Now the KH-15s don't have a huge range, and they are quite slow. The airplanes are only slightly faster than my airplanes. I'm trying to decide here whether I want to attack with more planes or not, but I decide to wait and see when the missiles come in. So now the first KH-15 has activated its radar. When it detects a big enough target in its radar cone, it will lock on, which it does now. There, the second missile has activated its ELINT scanner. When it detects something emitting radar in that cone, it will hit. Now here comes the missile. This ship does not have a chance. Completely wiped out. We have destroyed our first strike fleet. Granite is history. Unfortunately, this rocket's going to detonate in the desert. It hasn't got a target to hit. So, we have destroyed our first strike fleet. I'm thinking about sending the Rooster over to investigate the crash, just to see if there's anything we can loot. I'm going to investigate that in the next video. We've destroyed our first strike fleet. Granite is off the board. We expended a lot of resources to do it. I'm going to count the 4 T7s as part of the casualty list. We expended 4 T7s. We lost 2 LA-29s, the other type of fighter. They got shot down by an R9 Sprint. We launched 4 cruise missiles, of which only 1 actually hit the strike fleet. 2 of them hit the garrison at Tabal, so it wasn't a total loss. 1 crashed in the desert. We've launched about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 9 or 10 250-kilogram bombs. So the tally of ammunition expenditure for this attack is quite high. The bonus is 1 strike fleet is gone. We only have to do that 4 more times, and we've taken out all the strike groups. We have to watch out for Varyag now coming over to get revenge. And if Varyag has a Varyag in it, I am in big trouble. We'll find out what a Varyag is if there's one there. I need to play a little bit smarter and just be a little bit better with my detection. But we have managed to take a strike fleet out without needing to engage with the lightning. So our goal for the next video is to find the hidden city, get my fleet relocated to it for repair and rearm and morale boosting. I want to start looking at refits for my ships to upgun them. I want to start taking cities on the right-hand side of the map. I want to find more Karkans. I want to get into Tushan, and I want to go from there. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you're still enjoying this. I'm sorry there's a few mistakes in that video, but this is how we learn. We get better at the game, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.